Olá, boa noite a todos. Muito obrigada pela vossa presença neste lançamento virtual do livro A Aniversariante, de Anders Roslund, recentemente publicado pela Porto, Editora. Mostro-vos 6 páginas apenas. É tudo o que vocês precisarão de ler para ficarem completamente agarrados a esta história. Uma história inquietante que nos faz querer ler e não largar o livro até saber o desfecho. Trata-se de um best-seller internacional a ser dentro em breve adaptado ao cinema. E teremos a conversa com o nosso querido autor Anders Roslund, o nosso também querido Álvaro Filho, jornalista, escritor e autor do projeto online O Detetive Literário. Relembro a todos que nos estão a assistir que podem e devem participar desta conversa colocando questões das páginas através das quais nos estão a ver. Por favor, participem. Álvaro. Hello, Anders. Hello, Álvaro. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Nice to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us as we publish the first title of the Nameless Girl's diptych in Portugal. Our edition is entitled A Aniversariante, the Birthday Girl. And I must say it is a great honor to have such a successful author as you are, and with an impressive awards list added to our catalog. So thank you so much for joining Porto Editora. Also, Álvaro, thank you for accepting the invitation. Álvaro is a well-known journalist, writer, and also the author of the online project, The Literary Detective, which it's very much appropriate to this conversation today. So Álvaro, feel free if you want to start.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Hi, Mr. Anders Roslund. Can we start explaining exactly where you are? Because it's such a nice place to
Yeah.
to stream.
You might think I have written a cookbook, O Livro de Cocina, or whatever it is in Portuguese, I don't know. The story is that upstairs I have bad Wi-Fi, and down here, this is as close as you get to the router. So, and to be honest, I can't even cook. So when you look at these stuff and this stuff, forget about it and focus on me. I'm actually quite good at breakfast, and I'm good at cleaning. I'm quite good at washing the washing machine, but the cooking is not my. But I'm here. So thanks.
But I believe it's not the place where you normally write.
I normally write in a small one apartment studio. Often, actually, it's just like 100 meters from my home, but I walk 1.5 kilometers to get there, because that's on a small island in the middle of Stockholm. So I walk all the way back to the apartment to feel that I left home, that I'm at work. And then a few minutes later, my cat is dropped off by my wife, and she's there, the cat and me, all day, and then we walk home on the. So never writing in the kitchen. I do enjoy write on trains or coffee shops, but not in my own kitchen, no.
So let's go to the book. I don't know. I've watched a video that you say maybe the title in English was Happy Birthday, but now someone mentioned Birthday Girl. I don't know what is the title. You think it's closer to the Swedish version of your original book, maybe in English, or we try to translate in Portuguese here as Aniversariante.
I appreciate that, and. First, Ana Luisa, you said welcome to me, and I will say I'm honored to be there, and not just as a courtesy. It's I'm translated into 36 languages, and sometimes you are not sort of in touch with the publisher at all, or the translator. It just goes on, but this time, this is our first book together, and we have already sort of, because this is work. You work with a book during the writing and after the writing. This is the book in Swedish. It's called, in Swedish, it's called Ja må hon leva. And that's the birthday song. Ja må hon leva, ja må hon leva, ja må hon leva ute. Meaning it's like the happy birthday to you. But the Swedish titles, so that's the title of the birthday song, but it's also have a double meaning in Swedish, meaning will she live? Oh. And this book, if you read it, it's about a small girl in the beginning, and you will find out if she will live or not. And but that's obviously not possible to translate into any other language. But I really like your title, which is sort of connected to this. How do you pronounce it in Portuguese?
Aniversariante.
Yes, that's it. I will not repeat it. Thank you.
I was wondering, why not 3 days? Because I know you have a book called The 3 Seconds, another one called 3 Minutes, another one called 3 Hours. Correct me if I'm wrong. And now they have to solve the case in 3 days. Why not 3 days? I was wondering.
First, you can say I'm lousy, obviously, at titles. So when I find the number 3, I go for that. 3 seconds, 3 minutes, 3. So but the thing is that there's always a time limit between life and death. And this series, which actually is a series within a series, this is my 13th book altogether. The 2 main characters this is a collaboration between a police officer, a superintendent. His name is in Swedish Ewert Grens. Grens is also the name for border, limit. He's always black and white, the gray zone. And the other one is a criminal, and he is working for the police as an infiltrator. And this series within the series is starts with 3 seconds. In that book, the limit is 3 seconds between live and die. And as you said, 3 minutes, 3 days, 3 hours, and now 3 days. So this book is all about 3 days. And why 3 days? Because in Sweden, I don't know the hours in Portugal. When you lock up a person, arrest a person, and you put the person in prison, but not really in prison, in custody, before the trial, you have 72 hours to go before you need to take the second, go to the second base to decide if he or she will stay in custody for longer. So those 3 days, those 72 hours is the time limit for the superintendent and for the infiltrator. But answer your own question is that I've been on a Swedish small publisher for many years. Now I'm on a much bigger publishing house, and they said, we love your books. We won't change a thing, but we would like to change the titles before sort of showing that it's a new era. And it suited me well since I had this title, Ja må hon leva, before. So that's why. It could be called 3 days. And it is called 3 days in other languages I've seen also.
It's only a new era, as your published said, because you changed the house, the published house, or because you're now on quite in a solo flight with Ewert Grens and Piet Hoffmann, because you used to write with a partnership with Borg Hellstrom. Correct me if I'm wrong. The previous one now. Alongside his, now you are writing solo. It makes some difference for you. How do you feel writing that? I don't know if I can say it's a solo work.
Yeah, but first of all, I need to say that this started up as a partnership, as you say, a duo. It was called Roslund and Hellstrom, and your pronunciation was quite good, I must say, because his first name is B. Well, it's very hard to pronounce, Börje in Swedish, and I remember when we went to America, because one of the books were very successful there, 3 seconds, and we went the 4 times, and the 4th time, and they still tried to say Börje, and he said, "Well, call me George." so they started to call him George. But so we wrote 7 books together, and now Börje is not among us anymore. He died 3 years ago, 4 years ago, almost in cancer, and I miss him so much as a person. He was also a family member, you know. He was always back home eating my breakfast, eating my lunch, and he knew my children since they were very, very small. But when you go to the writing, the difference is not that much, since of course the thinking, the way you give an idea and you get back and forth is different. But our style was that we met a couple of months, then I went home, I wrote the story for a year, and then we went together again. That was our style. And then we looked into the story again. So I am it's the same procedure again. I have to fill these pages with characters and meat and voices. And obviously, I changed the superintendent a bit, because I wanted him to be a little bit softer, a bit more quiet, more thinking, and now he is, because Roslund and Hellstrom is now Roslund and Roslund. So I'll go with myself. And also Hoffmann, the other character, the other main character, his family, he has 2 kids, now 3 actually, in this book. And I wanted his family to be more involved as characters. So now they are really involved, and from 3 hours and so on. So it's the same writing, it's the same story, but still it's not the same. And obviously, for the first time now, I'm actually Anders Roslund, and that's quite amazing. As a middle-aged man, you know, suddenly I'm myself again.
When I start to read the book, because Ewert Grens is facing his retirement, he's close to his retirement, and I thought maybe you intend to close the series, in the series. No, yes. So I don't know if it happened. If you thought something like that when you start to write, maybe you have to now, as you don't have your partner anymore, your double. If you had thought once, oh, I have to finish these, or no, or you are sure that you have to keep going now as Roslund and Roslund.
You can't finish your friend,
No.
can you?
No.
Because he is alive. Ewert Grens is not alive. I saw him yesterday and under my bed, and I'm not kidding with you. But he's been inside me for so long that obviously you start to talk to him and think you see him walking past the street and see him in other people, actually. But of course, I was thinking about, is this the end for him? And then, as you say, because he is one of those not men, people, I guess, both women and men are the same. He has sort of been to work all his life. That's his life. He has forgotten about family and friends, and he hasn't realized that once you're sort of retired, that's all story, and there is a new guy in your room, and things just go on. And he's 6 months left, and he sees that black hole, and he's very terrified, until actually a colleague helps him and finds out that nowadays a police officer in Sweden and Stockholm can go on 2 more years. So he's very relieved this is his personal story in this book, which is not the very big story, but that's his personal one. The big story is obviously the crime and the thrill, I hope.
But I like him because he has a, he looks like an old school detective, because sometimes he has some doubts of what he has to do. It's different from Piet Hoffmann, because he's so sure, oh, I have to do it, and he does it. So I like it, Ewert Grens. And I would like to know, how do you compose when you're writing? Because you have two voices. Green has one voice and Hoffman has another one. How do you deal with that? You write one, and at the beginning you have a chapter with one voice and another chapter with another voice. Then they work together. But when you are working together, you mix the two voices, or you write one voice and then you write another voice. How do you deal with those two different types?
As you say, there are two different kind of persons. They have different energy. Piet Hoffmann, the younger one, the former criminal, the infiltrator, he's more kind of the hero, and he's maybe almost too much of a hero. But you need that kind when you when the book deals mystery novels. That I like them. I found them so amazing because you can go in and out and in and out when you read. So if it's scary, you can always go home again for a while and then back to the book. And also you need a character like Piet Hoffmann, because he's so much hero. So he adds this thrill, this sweet side you need if the other side should be dark and actually about people getting hurt or even killed. So and his energy is fast, it's rapid, and the other one is he's much older, he's hurt, he's has a bad back and a bad leg, and he's no family, and he sort of is he has got another energy. So as you point out, the first, I don't know in the Portugal edition, but in Swedish 40-50 pages. In Swedish is Ewert Grens, the superintendent. Then we go over like 90 pages to Piet Hoffmann, the hero, the infiltrator. And then in the third section in the book, they go together. And as you say, sometimes I really write every second chapter, because I know it's the same voice. I know it's the same thrill, the heartbeat. You need the heartbeat to go and go. But sometimes when I did that and I'd write the next chapter in between, I realize that I need to change the other one, because sometimes you can plan a chapter, but they don't turn out the way you supposed them. So the book I'm writing now, for example, these guys keep coming back, and I found out quite quickly that I need to write every second chapter just a short while, and then now I read, so I have to change mood all the time. I try to write a small piece in the night, so I know how to start in the morning, in what pace. That's my trick.
It's your formula. It's your formula. But how does being a journalist influences or had influenced in your way of writing? Because it's journalist has to deal with news, and when you write as a writer, you have to deal with fiction. But you put a lot of information in your you use a lot of information in your book. So you show some numbers of some stats from Swedish society. How being a journalist was helpful or not when you in your writer career?
As you say, I was working at Swedish television, which is the major station in Sweden. It's like BBC in Sweden. It's a public service, but still the major one. And I worked there for 14 years, and I was in Washington when in front of the White House as a correspondent. I was a normal reporter back home. I was editor-in-chief in our biggest news station. I founded a new show called The Culture News. So I did different things, but always as a journalist. And obviously, I use those skills now. The thing is that at that point, I could every night, 9 o'clock, because one of the shows for 6 years was the 9 o'clock news. And every night I could see the result of my work, you know, even if I was a reporter or if I was the chief of news. Now I can see my result in 18 months, you know. So the time is such a different factor, and that means that I can dig and dig and dig and dig, and I can, before I write, I sort of I need to get these stories, I need to get these people, and I can wait for them as long as it takes to get the unique stories and unique people, and that from them I can form that base of facts that you point out and put my story, my plot over it. So when we started out, me and Børge, and when I continue, my mantra was we need 50% fact, 50% fiction. But obviously, this is plot, this is fiction. It should be, there's always the story and the story and the story. If you have too much information, as you say, it's not a story anymore. And you should be very, very delicate and careful when you sort of spread your information or knowledge out in the text so it doesn't feel like a documentary. Because I produced a lot of documentaries as well, and that's something different. And just a short one, I found that as a fiction writer, I actually reach longer. I get more truth using the lie, really. Already the first book, I was on stages with the Minister of Justice debating the sexual crime new law we had. The second book was about trafficking, and I got the minister's mission to go around Sweden to tell people we've just written a crime novel, but since there was so much facts that nobody knew about at that point, actually they used us or me as so I found quite quickly that using lies you can reach longer than producing actually ambitious true news. So and also there is one book, for example, about kids living in tunnels under Stockholm. Stockholm is 100 kilometers tunnels, 6 different system of tunnels, and so much homeless people live there. And when I tried to go down there, we decided 27 times to meet up a character, and he didn't show because he didn't trust me or us. The 28th time he trusted us, and we could go down with him in the tunnels. That time you don't have as a journalist. And also going down there with a camera, or they shouldn't trust me at all. I can go down there with my head and mind, and I can see what it looks like, and then I can bring it home and turn it into a novel. But still, back to basis, it should be entertainment, entertainment, and entertainment. Otherwise, it's useless.
Because I'm asking you because I was a little bit surprised. You know, maybe I'm a little bit naive, but when you talk about when you listen about Scandinavia or Sweden, you thinking about a safe place or a quiet place. And sometimes when you write a Swedish crime novel, you find out different landscape with crimes, with mafia stuff. And I found out here, and you bring some data, about that. And I was wondering, because everybody says it's very difficult for I'm a Brazilian, for a Brazilian writer write about crime, because we have a lot of crime, so we have a lot of concurrence in our country. So So is it really the real landscape? I mean, it's a place where you can find all those things that you show in your book, all those sort of some. Is it possible a house blows someone blew up or something, explode a house in a suburban area or something like that? Is it possible in Stockholm?
I will give you a little bit longer answer. Is that okay, Ana Luisa?
Yeah, feel free. I'm enjoying.
Because I was so impressive. I mean, I was so impressive.
The first answer is obviously that Sweden hasn't had a war in 200 years, so it has been a country of peace for so long, and therefore it was room to write crime novels because we could give energy to read about it, since or actually get used to the crime through books or movies or whatever, since we didn't have so much crime otherwise. So that was the foundation of the Swedish crime novel. I think that's why so many crime writers sort of got attention and readers. No competition, as you said, with real life. That's one point of it, and that truth is so hard. I think last year, two journalists, they traveled all the way from India, New Delhi, just to meet me, and wow, I said, and they said that, man, you have ruined our picture of Sweden. You ruined my picture of Sweden. And obviously, they realized that some of the things were fiction, but they wanted to keep that truth longer. That Sweden is that beautiful country, fairy tale country. When I went to Poland last year as well, Warsaw, to talk about books, the first question I got was from, and this is a very high-level newspaper, and it was the senior editor at Culture Pages, and he said, "Why do you people in Sweden write about crime since you don't have crime?" Man, okay, let's start over. So there is a story, and that story goes for me as well, because when I was born, if there was one shooting, there would be an extra broadcast on TV. There would be attention. Peace is writing. And even when my children, they are now, as I say, young adults, when they were newly born, the same went for them, actually. I think that a crime, a shooting, a house being blown up was something sensational, and you really got every news station was reporting. Today, Sweden has changed so much in 10, 15, 20 years. As told in the book here, trying to figure it out, because this is all, of course, it's fiction, it's excitement, it's thrill, it's weapons trade. And the truth is that, as the main character thinks in the book, that if you combine all the shootings in our countries, in the other Nordic countries, very similar to us, Norway, Finland, Denmark, and Iceland, if you take them on one side and you take Sweden on one side, we have 5 times the shootings and the killings combined with all those. There is just one country in the whole Europe, and that's a part in Italy, in Sicily. That's where you can have the same amount of shootings per capita or killings per capita. And as he said, the number of hand grenades can only be compared to Mexico per capita. And that thing has sort of taken the whole society with surprise. 3 elections ago, you could ask any voter, what is the most important question now? And I would say, everybody would say schools or healthcare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, everybody, that's the major question is law and order. How to get, because we have so many gangs, we have so many people and so many shootings compared to how it used to be just like a couple of years ago. And it's a completely new landscape. And actually, obviously, the politician has been really, as it's like the pandemic, they had really no clue before it started. So it's very late now. And every politician worth the name is trying to overbid the other politician of my solution to this problem, because that's how you get elected in the next. And Sweden is also, for example, as United States these days, Sweden has always been divided politically. We have had conservatives and socialists, and the last 34 years, we have been half the time led by conservatives and half the time of socialists. Those are still there, divided in opinions, but it's more and more polarized now. It's so much wider, the gap, since and I think the crime thing is one of the major things, how to handle this. I remember working with this. We have 17, just south of Stockholm, where I live. We have now around 17 major gangs, very heavily in crime, very heavy in weapons. Young guys, 7, 18, 19 years old. They're very, very, very violent. And I worked with one of those gangs. It was such a long time to get their trust. And I remember a trial against one of the leaders, and he was at that point 18, and he was going to prison this time, really. And outside the courtroom, I was there waiting, and suddenly I have this group of small characters around 9, 10, 11 years surrounding, and they knew me, and I knew them, since I've been there in the suburb for so long. And they, you have this guy, he bumped me in the side and said, "Guess what, Anders, guess what? When I'm 18, I will also go to prison. I will also be a bad criminal." We have so many suburbs that we have now. We didn't have before, at that amount at least, with more than 50% unemployment, more than 50% not finishing even basic schools with grades. Obviously, then you go to more unemployment, and there is just nothing else to offer them. So when the criminals offer them all this status and money, we have suddenly you're 9, 10, 11 years, and you sort of, this is my way, this is my new way. And this is just so new since the last 15 years. So unfortunately, of course, Sweden is a fantastic country. That's why I still live there. But it's also very, very changed. And unfortunately, we are so rapidly changing into other patterns. So everything in the book is true. Then, well, half of it is true. The other one is a lie. And writing is also making things. Writing mystery is making things. A policeman's work is really dull. They wait for hours and hours and hours, and prison life is really dull. They just sit there. When you write a book, you have to sort of compromise that time and use but as I said, Anna-Luisa, a long answer. Sorry.
Sorry to ask. But okay, let's just. I don't know if Ana-Luisa wants to ask something, because I'm so excited here, asking.
The thing we just talked was really one of my questions, one of my topics, the weapons dealing, because it's not the first time that I've heard that it's a big issue. And I've read in your website, and I quote, "With these crime novels, Anders hopes to entertain, but also getting close to a society and a reality that most people are not familiar with." And I was going to ask you what reality is this, but fortunately, you already gave us the answer. So getting this, I'd like to ask you, one of our marketing pictures is you only need to read 6 pages to get completely hooked with this book. And those 6 pages are until we find a little girl abandoned, and we don't know who will she turn up to be, a villain or a victim. It is, I must say, quite disturbing. As I told you before, I have a 5-year-old boy. To see a 5-year-old girl completely alone in a house where a family, all of her family, lies dead. How on earth did you get the premise to this book? Was it journalist? Was an inside information from the cops? What on earth did you get this? Because this is twisted.
Sometimes my wife.
Oh, are you blaming your wife?
No, the opposite. I think she loves me. Actually, we have been together 23 years now, but sometimes she just looks at me before she's always the first reader. Every book she reads the book first, and she knows how to be hard. If it's not good, she will tell me, and I have to rewrite. But sometimes she just looks at me and says, I would like to know who I'm living with, who I'm sharing this life with, because I don't know this man writing this. So that start it's obviously a fiction part to get the reader hooked into this half fictional story or more than so. It's a kickstart, and hopefully, I can say now, when since the book is published already in Sweden, since as you translated and stuff a couple of years ago, 2 years ago now, a year and a half, and that my fear of the reaction of the start has all got. They are not there anymore. Actually, nobody has. I get a lot of emails, and when I'm out, well, not these days, but otherwise I'm out so much for signings, and I tour around for seminars and readings, and you meet so many readers, because that's so fantastic to meet the readers. It's so fantastic now as well. This way we have to try everything, and they all give me this fantastic feedback, but no one has. They usually complain if they feel like it also, and they're welcome. But nobody has sort of got stuck on the start. On the contrary, they have sort of gone further. So hopefully, the fictional part is as you said, a 6-page kickstart.
But the book has a dramatical beginning, but also have a dramatical end. I'm not going to spoil. Okay, just to tease. The ending is also very strong.
Definitely, it's quite a strong. I have some questions already here. So not only I have Ines asking, how did you come up with the main idea, and did you study your characters?
I have, and don't ask me why, that's just how it is. I have so many, half of my group of friends are heavy criminals, and or has been, and sort of, and I talked to one of them today, and I met one of the other guys just the other day, and they have been to prison 20 years, 25 years. They have robbed banks. They have done bad things. They have. So I've been part of their lives for so long. I'm also brought up in a small apartment where we have asphalt around it, no trees, and you have to be sort of streetwise. So the characters, I have studied them sort of for so long through my friends, and whenever I need, as today actually, when I phoned my friend and asked, because he has done unfortunately a lot of robberies before, now he doesn't do that anymore. He is done with all that, but sometimes I need advice for a bad explosion, or advice for getting through a door, and I can always trust these people because they know, and then it's up to me not to write a handbook of explosions, because that's not my job. I have to give the reader an idea of that. I know what I'm doing, and it could be like that. But then I sort of, one of the books, 3 minutes, not this one, is about how to get all the narcotics from Colombia to Europe, to Portugal or to Sweden. It's the same thing. And then obviously I had to leave out a lot of information of how to, well, how to organize, and how to, what they did. They had el bolso, we say in Spanish. What is it in English? What is it? Väska in Swedish. El bolso in Spanish.
The bag.
A bag. Thank you. What they
You're
did,
welcome.
they made in Colombia bags, melting down the coke. So the coke was inside the shelter of the bag, without smelling, without feeling. So dogs, nobody felt it. Then they actually got through Portugal to Sweden, and then they unmelted it, got it alive again, so to speak. You can't give the reader a recipe of how to do this, but you can give the reader an idea of this is how it's done. And also with this book, Jag må leva, or your title, the same, of course, to give the idea of how a gangster or a person acts without giving all the facts.
Mhm.
So, can I ask something? Because I was so curious about it.
Because you get another.
I think it would be a short. Because
Yes.
always when I think about Scandinavian crime novel, I think about cold characters and cold weather, and you have placed the plot on summer. I don't know if you're trying to leave a message about the climate changes or something, prepare your readers to read Swedish crime novel in hot spots or something. Why did you decide to place it in summer?
First, I wrote this novel during the hottest summer we have had in Sweden. It was Spanish weather, it was Portuguese weather, but also, this is another trick, I guess. I remember working at television. I did a show with a friend. We had a common show. I think it was 6 programs, and half of them were broadcasted in wintertime. A lot of snow, a lot of it should be reportages around winter, and the other one were reportages around summer. And the thing is that you can show the reportages produced in summer in winter, but you can't do the reverse, because nobody wants to see snow in the summer. It doesn't feel right. But if you show that in winter, you can long to the good weather, and you can long, at least in Sweden, it is like that, because we have a very long country. We are like 1,800 kilometers. So from the very south, where I am born, close to Copenhagen and Germany, obviously it's just early autumn now. North, it's already snowing since way back, and people in Sweden always long to the warm, and if you pick this book up in the wintertime, it's easier to read about the warm, and the opposite, pick this book in the summer and read about it in the winter. So no, sorry. I think a short answer.
Do you think the climate makes it's one important point in the what they call Scandinavian crime novel literature? Do you think the climate is important? It's a key aspect.
I think Okay, one. I have to kill one perception here. I don't agree with everybody's talking about the Scandi literature, and because I write more American, I think, and some people. I am so much alike my other Swedish writers than I'm alike a German writer or a Portuguese writer. We're just born at the same place. Obviously, we share a few ideas of life, and what you talk about, the weather, I think that joins us together. We live half the year with freezing, really, and with snow. It's harder to mix with people. It's harder to enjoy life sometimes, because it's much more fun when the sun is out, and it's darker quite a lot, and that probably gives you a soul that's common, and join. You can join together, but otherwise we are not similar at all. I can't say that I'm a Scandi writer. I'm just a writer.
Okay. So is it possible, do you think, for a writer who was born outside Scandinavia, write a Swedish crime novel, for example, something like that? Is it possible for me, as for example, as a tropical writer, a Sudic writer, writes a Nordic novel or something?
To be a writer, obviously, is a profession that you can sort of evolve, but I find it easier. I'm a man. My two main characters, they are men, and I don't think that's me choosing female or male or what's more important. It's just that I can relate to men. I'm better to I know a lot of male writers, they have female characters or main characters. I have a lot of female characters, but not as a main character. The same thing here. I think I'm better to write about the cold than you are, and you're better to write about the super hot than I am, because that's part of your system. But then obviously it's our mission to sort of evolve. So why not?
Okay. So you mentioned another writers. Do you have any influence, some writers that influenced you in the way you write? I mean, doesn't matter if it's Swedish or German. Who?
I read everything that's good. I mean, I read a lot of poetry, and if it's good, I love it. There is a lot of bad poetry. I read about. I can read chick lit if it's good. I read Nobel Prize winners if it's good, and also I read a lot of mystery crime writers. Obviously, both in Sweden or US and well, the languages I can read in, or England, and I have a few favorites, of course. I have a few Swedish, his name is August Strindberg, an old 150 years ago, he was on his top. I like the American writer. No, I won't mention any names. Since
It's
no,
fair.
yeah. But I have a few people I really not just respect, I admire them, and I can see because everybody can write a novel a year if they don't give the effort. But sometimes guys or girls, they really write serious stuff. Serious is not boring. Serious is just, I feel as a reader that every part of his body or her body is in this story all the time. And I think you can, in 6 pages maybe, as you said, feel that. Is this serious, or is this just another novel between two other novels? So that's my mantra as well. I write for real, meaning not it should be boring, but always for real, taking my time, taking my nights and days, and getting on people's nerves, since I'm sort of consumed by the story.
I think that's a secret. When the author feels that, then the reader will feel it too.
Yeah.
I think it's the same with film and music. Sometimes you see film and you say, hey, I saw that movie before with the same director, and I heard the same song by the same musician, or I read the same book from the same author, or almost the same. You should not sort of try to repeat a good solution. If so, go home and write again, because the reader deserves, if the reader is supposed to pay 10 euros or 15 or whatever it is, you owe the reader to go home and give them a new story, a new drama.
Mm-hmm.
Just to ask you a question that someone made in my page. Although Green and Hoffmann had worked together previously in other books, is it possible to start to know them from this book? I mean, it's not their first adventure.
That's
Very
good at placing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every book is I really try hard to write books as standalones. You should not have to read the other book or the other book or the other book. They are really quite little of personal involvement from the characters, and that involvement is included in that one book. If there is a reference to another book, it's short, and hopefully I really, that was my mission from the beginning. You should not, and I can see that sometimes when a country I haven't been translated into now translates it, sometimes they start with book 5 or this book or another book, and it doesn't matter. And I say the same to the Swedish readers, because when you meet them really face by face and get the question, what book should I start with? I haven't read you before. I said this book or this book. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I warn them from one book, but that's another story. So standalones, because I myself like standalones. Then, of course, it's the same universe, the characters, but that's something else.
Okay.
I have Sophia here asking, there are two characters who are very different from one another. One is an old detective, another is an ex-police informant. These differences are mirrored in the book. Which scene gives you the most pleasure to write? The spy action or the detective introspection?
Since I'm...
Or a third voice, she's asking.
No spoiler.
No spoiler.
Yeah, true. No. But there is, since I'm part of the older guy, I can be as stubborn as he is. I can be as, tired or negative as he is. I'm also the other guy. I can be as, hopefully, almost as athletic as he is. I can be as problem solving as he is. So I do live in these two guys. So I find it very healing to sort of be able to jump between them and consider them my friends and even myself. And there is a part in this book, no spoiling, where they meet for the first time in this book. And I really enjoyed that because the build-up for that meet is I always divide the stories in sections, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And we can say without spoiling that part 1 is Ewert, the superintendent, part 2 is the infiltrator, and part 3, that's where they meet. And the first time they meet in this book is I had this before I started to write, and I was really looking forward to get to that page so they can meet finally, because I had a lot of fun with it.
Okay. I was researching on Google, doing my investigation, and I think you you have written another book with them, or no? Did you write another book with the two of them, or no?
There will be a second book.
Yes, in this one, there is all. I can get it in Swedish because the next one was published this summer in July, a couple of months ago. In Swedish, it's called "sov så gott," which is another expression meaning sweet dreams. It's something you say to a child when she or he is supposed to go to sleep, and it can always mean something else as well. So that book was published this summer, and since, as I said, I have a year or at least 18 months, sometimes a cycle. I'm right in the middle of the next one, the next one, so to speak. But sorry.
Please feel free.
No, I did just
have the information.
no, but the thing is that the advantage of being translated like this, sometimes I talk about the first book still. I talk about the third book or the seventh book, or now so they're all still there. I never forget. There was one journalist at one point. He had he had grabbed a quote from I don't know, 5 books, and he asked me, "What book is this?" And he thought, "Now I will get the guy. He's writing so many books." And I could say, "Is this book?" And I think it's page 79 or 81. And I was so proud that because I really remember almost everything so many years later, since they have been so close, and I've been rereading them over and over, and then they're turned into an audiobook, and I'm annoying the producer because I'm in the studio and I want to listen so that it's a correct reading, and then I hear it sort of in another way of interpreting the book, so it never goes away.
So I can add the information. This is part of a diptych, the Nameless Girls diptych. We have just published A Aniversariante, but next spring we will publish the second book. I know that the English translation, or as your literary agent told me, is Sweet Dreams. So most likely our edition will be something like Bons Sonhos or Dorme Bem. In Portuguese, will be something like that. So
has that the same meaning?
Yeah.
Yes, it's like sweet dreams, or sleep tight. We will be through that. So, answering one of the questions posed here, I think it was Tiago. So, do these strong characters, Grens and Piet Hoffmann, will have another adventure, or are they definitely retired? Nope, they're not retiring.
No. So there is. I planned 5 books with these 2 guys, and actually it will be 6 or 7 at least. But then there is a tough one, because sometimes an author writes one too many with his characters because it's so hard to say goodbye. But as long as I feel now with my experience that I have a good story and I have an adventure, I will write it. So it will be 2 or 3 more with these guys, and then probably they have to retire. Otherwise, I will repeat myself, and I will really try to avoid that.
Without disclosing how the story ends in this book, I wonder if you feel that one can recover from the traumas of the past.
Wow.
To Hoffmann, Grens, and other characters.
I myself has been in therapy at least 10, 12 years. I'm really working with the past. I had a reason for it. And actually, it was my wife. She threw me out at that point and said, "You're hopeless. We can't live together anymore." So we didn't. So I moved to this small apartment, which is now my studio. Because a year after, she sort of moved after me, and our son, 15 years old, he could live in the apartment himself. So we lived in one room apartment. He lived in our big apartment, and I think because all what I did, I was so angry, and I could chase a bus driver, and I could fight anyone in the metro. I was carrying what I didn't deal with, and so you can deal with your trauma, and you can sort of change, maybe not completely change, because then it's not you. It's good to have a driving force, a sort of a beat in you. The restless piece is good for me, at least, a motor. But you can sort of rise, as Ewert Grens actually saying in this book. You can rise again, and you can be a little bit different, and sometimes different is good. So the thing is that if you don't work with your trauma, you will repeat your actions, and that's what happens when you lock a person into prison. Of course, I approve of prisons. If you hurt somebody, you should be punished. But when you have a person in prison, you should use that time to try to reach in therapy or whatever to that person. So when he is out again, he will not repeat himself again and again and again without understanding his consequences and why he does what he does. So you can change, and you can, but there is no change completely unless you, all my friends, as I told, the criminal ones, the ones not committing any crimes anymore, they have changed. They are not changing in that way. They are going to church, haven't found Jesus or so. That's not their solution. They have just understood what the consequences of the crime is, not for them, but for everybody else, the person you hurt, or your own relatives, or this big circle around you that is part of your actions. So never ever give up. And so the result of my therapy was that I got back to my wife again, and we got married because we were not married before. So yes, a long yes to that question.
One last question, and I had this idea, and I was picking the same comment as Inês. In your website, you mentioned that you've worked in a canning factory in Israel, as a kiwi farmer in New Zealand, and as a waiter in Colorado. Does a writer need to see world, or as Inês places, does the world? So is the world your inspiration?
For me, it was. For me, first of all, it was years with. I got experience. I understood different kind of people. I understood the world much better, and I'm so grateful for that today. And also, if I, as I said, will write about the drug dealing from Colombia to Sweden or Europe, I really worked to get into the drug cartel, and I was there, and I was terrified as hell, but I was there, and I need to go places, and then but it's not just for the going. I think some people, they really write from the computer, they Google, and they do it fine as well. But my technique is to be there and then go home writing. And I feel I'm not Hemingway. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just feel, that dream that you can sit in a coffee shop and write Nobel Prize winners. But I feel I'm a better writer when I can fill this percentage, which should be true, with truth.
Okay.
Any questions, Alvaro?
No, I'm done. I asked too much.
One more, then. One more before we end. Was it hard for you after the success of 3 Minutes and the movie The Informer to find a good story? Can success be, or can it create a creative block? Do you feel the pressure and the weight of readers and critics?
Or do you write thinking your book is going to be a film or something is going to
Good question as well. The Annalisa's first. The deepest pressure, the hardest pressure is always my own. I'm my biggest enemy. I whip myself. I chase myself. And no, there is no pressure, because pressure is if your book not was a success, if you got everybody says boo, you're bad, no, then it's hard to sit down again to write something, because you don't publish anything you don't believe in. So if you believed in the last book and nobody liked it, so I prefer going back if they like the last one. And as I said, I'm the worst demander myself. But to you, Alvaro, I think a book is a book, and I'm so proud of writing books. Of course, I'm proud that this was a Hollywood movie. I'm proud that there had been produced a TV series on another book, and another TV film is on, and that's of course because I know, unfortunately, if I write a big bestseller, which I have had at least back home and some more places, I know how much bestseller it is, ever is. 10 times will watch the movie than read the book. So many more people will judge my writing upon the movie than upon my writing. So if it's a good movie, that's good. But if it's a bad movie, they say, hey, what? Who is this guy? And you can never sort of adjust the story to something else than the book. You can never even adjust the story to, okay, will this be published in England? No. Think to write the best Swedish novel you ever can, and then it will work its way itself, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. You own it to yourself in first place, right?
Yes, because the moment you think of the next level, you're lost and you will not succeed. I will not succeed, at least.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So do you normally have a saying on the TV adaptations or the movie adaptations?
I could, for example, the 3 Seconds, which was this Hollywood one, was I got the question, would you like to be part of the script? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I don't have the time. There is such a gap between America and Sweden, but they were very polite. They called and they said, we would like to change the story, put more into a love story. Okay, no problems. We would like to change this and this. So I thought they said, okay, bye. We write we buy your rights, and then we never speak anymore. They were very, very polite. In the TV series, I've been writing 3 of the episodes together with another guy. I was more included in the TV series because I wanted to, but sometimes because it takes a lot of time, and if you're in my age, you are sort of a middle-aged. I have so many books more to write and so little time to write them, I guess. So you value every project. Okay, will I spend 18 months on this or will I not? So then I sometimes I say thank you, but no thank you to be part of it. Still, I want to control it. I don't know. That's not possible. But so yes or no.
Yeah. So thank you, and keep writing.
Yes, and
writing, because I think at least Alvaro and I, we prefer books.
Yeah, and so do I.
I want to thank you all, Anders and Al, for spending this hour, more than an hour now. It was a most pleasant conversation, and I do hope we can meet physically next year, probably, I would say, at the book fair we have in May. Perhaps we could have Anders by then here in Lisbon in a more safer days, I hope.
with vaccine, like yes.
At least I do hope COVID is a thing well from the past. So
Yes.
I do hope. I'm trusting that spring will bring us good news. So thank
Yes,
you so much.
and I'm sorry for leaving my kitchen with a hunger.
It's a wonderful scenario.
It's a nice kitchen. It's a nice kitchen.
No.
And thank
It's a
you
nice
all
setting.
again for joining us.
Uhum.
Muito obrigada a todos que nos acompanharam nesta sessão. Tenham uma boa noite e boas leituras. Muito obrigada.
Thank you.